just want to ask Delegate Sickles if he would yield some time to Senator Eben, because he has to leave shortly on another topic, and then we'll come.
I yield time to him most days.
Then we'll come.
Appreciate your collegial attitude.
Yeah. Then we'll come back to you. I have Delegate or Senator Eben under kind of a mini group for reentry and for the prison family telephone issue, where the telephone rates are unconscionably excessive, and where the state has been making a lot of profit over the past years. It's been a big revenue source, and Senator Eben has been really a fighter to get the rates reduced, and has put in legislation that passed pretty successfully in the Senate. So if you'd say a few words about that. One thing about his efforts, along with the efforts of Delegate Lemunion and Delegate Hope, is that the governor issued an executive order recently. So could you talk about, I want to give you a chance to talk about that before you have to leave.
Sure, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate the work of Delegate Hope and Delegate Lemunion on this. I introduced a bill to do this, to require that the rates for prisoners be the lowest available phone rates in 2004, my first year in the General Assembly. And Delegate Hope and Delegate Lemunion have been really persistent at this. I met with the governor. We all had an opportunity to meet with the governor last fall to talk to him about the budget. And I spoke to him about these rates. And since then, the contract that was last negotiated does make it fair for prisoners. Right now, or before that, we had the unconscionable practice of prisoners paying an add-on fee and higher rates to be a profit center for the state to make money off these prisoners to help balance our budget. That was just crazy. You know, there's not much to say other than you know that family unification and keeping in good contact with your family is the #1 predictor of whether or not you're going to have success in reentry. And we hope that by having more contact with their families, at least on the telephone, that will continue to lead to that. In terms of reentry, also I'll just mention briefly, I know that Ban the Box has been one of your priorities, and Delegate Roz Dance has passed that through the Senate. We're able to get it through the General Laws Committee, I believe by just 1 vote, and through the Senate by more than 1 vote this time. The phone rate bill we got through the Senate, I think it was 37-2. Unfortunately, the House Appropriations Committee held it up to take a closer look in future years. But regardless of what they did, we know that the rates are now reasonable. So that's good, especially for people who are not making more than $1 an hour in prison. They're making cents per hour. So that's something that moves us in the right direction. I don't know if you need anything else, but that's on the phone rates. That's really all I have to say on that topic.
Okay. Are you planning to do anything on any other prison issues in the next session?
Well, Delegate Hope and I have looked at the issue of solitary confinement, or as the state likes to call it, segregation of prisoners, in by yourself for weeks or months or years at a time in a single cell, which is just awful. Now, I'm happy that they've made some progress. They won an award for a program, it's called Step Down, where prisoners have a chance to earn their way out and be evaluated and start to earn privileges. In fact, Delegate Hope and I went to visit Red Onion Prison a number of years ago. We met with some of the prisoners to ask how it was going, and the Secretary of Public Safety indicated that we were very interested in reentry and that the governor was. And one of the prisoners asked Patrick if he was in fact the governor. Which
he said not yet.
That's what he said. But we're concerned, though, when we continue to be concerned with some of the conditions for inmates within the system. And I thank Carla Peterson for her work and Cure's work, and we're looking forward to seeing what we can do to improve conditions further. So thank you for SALT's emphasis on reentry, and for recognizing when we talk about the economy that when you get out of prison, that if you can get a job and be unified with your family and have a place to be, those are the 3 indicators of whether you'll be successful and not have recidivism in your future. So thank you. And I will say Delegate Sickles is my friend. We always say so-and-so is my good friend. He's my good friend, and he knows that I take this time often. So thank you.
We thank you very much for making a special effort to spend your afternoon with us, even though you had a lot of other commitments as well. So thank you so much. It was good having you and having that input. And now if we can go back to the mini group number 2 and get back to our friend Delegate Sickles. He had the foresight to decide that it's better for the child support money to go to the family than to the government. So can you say a few words about what you did for us, for families?
Well, thanks for inviting me here. I really appreciate it. This was my second year on Health and Human Services Appropriations Subcommittee that handles a lot of issues that this audience is concerned about. But this was the first full budget. You know, we have a 2-year budget. This is the first full one that I went through, and I had a $9.6 million budget, which provide TANF recipients with 2 or more children a monthly TANF supplement that's equal to the child support payment they may be getting, up to $200. And so getting almost $10 million was a nice surprise. I was really happy to get that out of the house. The department, though, however, needed some time to implement that, and so they decided only to do it in the second year. So there's $4.8 million for this purpose for TANF recipients with more than one child in 18. In 17, they put the 2.5% increase on the recipients. Now, I don't know if that ever passed the Senate or not, but that's where the 2.5% came from, to do more in the first year. Of course, the 2.5% lasts forever, just raises the thing. So anyway, that's where the 2.5 and then the 4.8 after that came from. It is we are going to spend down to about 20-some million at the end. We had 72 million going into the budget year to spend, partly because, and mostly because, the economy's been good, unemployment has come down, and when you know that you only have 5 years total in your life that you may be able to get these benefits, the recipients know that. Their social workers tell them that, and they work hard to get jobs, and that's where we need to focus on. And so we only have 24,000 families in the entire state of 8 million some people that get these benefits now. What the committee is worried about is that if the economy goes south, the demand for this shoots up. So they don't want to spend all the money at one time, because you may need it if something happens and there's a blip. The money obviously goes to people who are living on the edge, and so and that's why they need to have flexibility and not spend the whole amount. I also had for the second year and my third year in the area of parole reform, and I wondered if you wanted me to talk about that now, or I had a parole bill again, working with Bill Richardson, who's been very active in this area.
Why don't you go ahead?
Okay, about 3 years ago, I think I was not the first person to have this bill, but the parole board, I'm talking about people who are eligible for parole that were sentenced pre-95, before truth in sentencing, before that came along. We still have close to 6,000, not quite 6,000 prisoners in our prison system that were sentenced and are still eligible for parole. Some of them have been eligible for parole and have come before the parole board many, many years in a row, 16, 20, 25 years in some cases. They're senior citizens now. They're not going to commit a crime again. And the public policy issue is that when the judge's sentences or the jury sentenced, either whatever case it may be, there was a understanding, an informal understanding, that you would not spend 20 years in prison if you got a 20-year sentence. And there would be rules of thumb. It would be different everywhere, possibly, and depending on the judge, depending on how much they thought the system would work, and they're gaming it. And so, what we've been trying to do is to look at those prisoners, make a priority of those prisoners to make sure that their sentence, they're not spending more time in prison than they would have, and this is the allegation, than they would have if they committed a crime post-95 and there are people allegedly in our system that have committed a crime, served their time, gotten out. People in the prison who committed the same crime still in prison because they can't get parole. Now, the recent parole commission did not address this as I hoped they would, and I'm not sure exactly why, but I want to just refer you, if you want to learn more about this, to go to the impact statement on my bill, which was HB 1031, and you can look it up under my name or HB 1031, and I won't bore you with this, but the Department of Corrections actually did a study this time about what it would do based on the criteria on my bill, which was narrower than the bill I had last year, just to try to make it more palatable and possibly pass it. And they said that there's 671 eligible offenders that it identified with enough risk that they would be subject to looking at more closely. So, I mean, to me, this is outrageous. This is outrageous that we don't have. This is not the top priority of the state to look at each of these cases. The chairman of the parole board didn't come last year. She came when I presented the bill and said she didn't have enough people to do this. It was one of her excuses. And I thought, well, that's outrageous by itself. He said, we'd have to really learn everything about these cases. And I think you were there, Alfonso, when she made this case last year. So I'm going to keep working on it to see what we can do to get the people. Next year, I'm going to put in a budget amendment to give them more staff to be able to do this if that's a problem. And also, you know, hopefully work with you guys to get more emphasis on this particular sub-issue of the parole issue. So, thank you very much.